Hello, this is Norm Werner, and these are Norm's Real Estate Tips. I'm speaking to you today again from the Real Estate One office in Milford, Michigan, where I work as a full-time real estate agent. Today's topic is making an offer. Now, I know everybody's excited at this point. You found the house you want, you're excited about rushing in and making an offer. My first tip is don't rush. Work your way through the steps that I'm about to go over with your agent and make sure you understand everything as you go. This is probably the biggest contract you'll ever sign in your life, or the most expensive thing you'll ever buy in your life. So don't rush and make mistakes. The first thing you should do is have your agent do a market analysis. He should look at the homes that have sold in the area, hopefully in the neighborhood, that makes it even more valid, and homes that are for sale right now. This will help him or her come up with good advice for you on the price you should offer for the home. Listen to that advice and don't let your heart overrule your head on this particular point. The second thing you need to do is to get your mortgage agent to give you a new pre-approval letter at the price that you're ready to offer. You don't want to tip your hand to the seller that you've got a lot of headroom on your mortgage pre-approval, and he should probably then ask you for more. You want the pre-approval to say, yes, I have the ability to buy this house at the price that I'm offering to you. Your mortgage agent is used to this kind of thing and updating pre-approval letters. Then as you get together with your agent, remember I told you this one before, you'll need to bring your checkbook with you. If you're going to write an offer, you're going to write probably an earnest money deposit or EMD check. That check is held in escrow until the deal closes. And it's the way that you show the seller that you're serious about buying the house. Historically, this EMD has been about 3% of the offer price. That's a good hefty amount to put at risk, shows the seller you're serious. Now it is at risk, you should realize that. If you were to back out of this deal for no good reason, the seller would likely be able to keep that EMD money for themselves instead of it going back to you. So you need to understand that going into the offer. Also, don't get in mind that you can make multiple offers. Throw a bunch of offers out and see which ones what sticks, so to speak. These are contracts. Once the seller signs your offer, you're in a binding contract with that seller. If you put multiple offers out, you may end up in multiple binding contracts. That could get ugly and it could get costly, so just don't do it. The first thing that you'll be asked when you sit down with your realtor to write the offer is to read over some documents and sign them, date them, and actually put the time that you read them on them. That's required by law. These documents are the seller's disclosure and the lead-based paint disclosure. The seller's disclosure is a very critical document and one you should read very carefully. In it, the seller is asked a bunch of questions and is asked to answer them about the condition of the property and the things in the property. On the front page, you'll see a lot of questions, or it looks like just items with yes, no, I don't know, or not available as the answers. Those are the things that are in the house, like the stove, the microwave, the water heater, things like that. And what they're asking the seller to do is to tell you whether those items work or not. Yes, they work. No, they don't work. Maybe he doesn't know, so he'll put I don't know. But he's expected to know, so you should look askance at any that says I don't know. And then there are some that are just not available, and they'll mark them that way so that you don't go looking for them later. That's an important part, and that's followed by a second part which asks a bunch of very critical questions that you should understand the answers to. Questions like, has there been evidence of water in the basement? Has there been evidence of insect or infestation of some sort? Things like that are important for you to understand, and you wouldn't have found those things out with just a couple visits to the house before you make an offer. This is a way you can find out an awful lot about the house, and there may be some showstoppers in there for you, so read it over carefully. There's 2 pages of questions like that. Now there are some questions where the answer from the owner might be unknown. I don't know. One of them has always been, do you own the mineral rights or not? Mineral rights are something that many owners just don't know whether they own or not. They should, but they don't. Why that is important to you is if the answer to do you own the mineral rights is no, that means someone else owns the mineral rights. What that means to you is that someone may come knocking on your door someday and tell you they're going to drill for oil on your property. It doesn't happen much in places like villages or towns or cities, but if you get out in the country, you could in fact have mineral rights that have been sold off years ago, and with modern techniques for oil drilling and fracking, they can show up and say, hey, we're going to be drilling under your land because we own the mineral rights. And there you go. So look over those answers and see if there's anything in there that disturbs you. The other document that you'll be asked to sign and date and put a time on is the lead-based paint document. Lead-based paint was outlawed in 1978, so if you're looking at a property that's newer than that, you won't have to worry about it. There still will be a lead-based paint document, but you shouldn't have to be worried about it. If it's before 1978, you can be pretty sure there was probably some lead-based paint in the house somewhere. But most houses have had that lead-based paint coated over many times with new paint jobs, and they don't form a particular problem. There is a question on there asking if the seller has ever had the house tested for lead-based paint. Normally sellers say no to that. And there's a place on there where it gives you the right, if you answer you want to do it, that you can have the house tested for lead-based paint. There's a cost to that, but if you're really concerned about lead-based paint, then you might want to have those tests done. So those two documents you'll be looking at, going over in detail and signing before you make the offer. The reason they have you put the date, the time on there is that the law says that you must read and sign and have knowledge of those two documents before you make your offer. Your offer will also have a date and time on it. So next time we'll be actually going into the offer paperwork and going over it line by line to tell you and show you what's in there. It's important that you do that with your agent. It seems like too many people just want to say, where do I sign on the bottom line? And they don't read the terms and conditions of contracts that they enter into. This is a huge contract for the biggest thing you'll probably ever buy. So you need to go through those that purchase agreement line by line. It has several places in it where it asks for deadlines or specifies that deadlines be set. You're asked normally to set those deadlines with your agent, and then you have to meet them, or there may be consequences if you miss them. Deadlines for certain things like applying for your mortgage, getting the home inspection done, things like that. So you'll be asked to put dates in on those. You'll also be asked to put a date in on when you'd like to close. So things like that are places where you have to make decisions. There are a number of contingencies in there also, some of which may surprise you. One of the contingencies that's in most purchase agreements is a floodplain contingency. Now you may not think about floodplains in the middle of the Midwest. You think about that on the coasts or near rivers or something. But in fact, FEMA keeps maps of floodplains in the United States, and you can find out if this home is in a floodplain by looking it up on FEMA.gov. If the house is in a floodplain, you would be required, in most cases, to buy flood insurance, which can be fairly expensive. So that may be of a concern to you if the house shows up as being on a floodplain. We'll also go over next time, like I say, all the other contingencies that are in there and the other contingencies that you can add to a document. One of the things that I advise is don't go thinking you can change the document on the fly. These purchase agreement documents have been vetted by corporate lawyers and used for years. And it's just not cricket to go trying to strike out things, change words, or make any kind of wholesale change to the document. If you have other terms and conditions that are important to you, you can add addendums to the document, and that will add those terms and conditions in for you. So next time we'll be going over that document line by line. Hopefully you'll be ready by then. You'll have your your new pre-approval, you'll have your agent's market analysis, you will have read through the lead-based paint and the seller's disclosure and know everything about the house that the seller has disclosed. So next time we'll cover that, the actual purchase agreement on Norm's Real Estate Tips. We'll see you then.